As the American population transitions toward mass retirement, so does the financial services industry. Population in motion brings with it money in motion, and money in motion spells opportunity for men and women like you and me. The opportunity to assist people with decisions that could dramatically improve their expectations, reduce their level of concern, and enhance their retirement satisfaction. Hi, I'm Bill Francavilla. As many financial services professionals, my lifetime career as a financial advisor and CFP engaged in the business of decision making, and oftentimes decisions with far-reaching ramifications, I ask myself, is this the watershed opportunity of our lives? And if so, how much more critical are the decisions we help our clients make? We know that 76 million Americans born between 1946 and 1964 have already begun to retire. Baby boomers are turning age 50 at the rate of more than 12,000 per day. That's one person every 8 seconds. Compounding this challenge is the accelerating trend among private sector providers of defined benefit plans to drop coverage in favor of defined contribution plans. In 1985, there were approximately 120,000 defined benefit plans in the United States. 20 years later, there were fewer than 35,000, and the trend continues. The simple conclusion is obvious to all of us in the business of advising Americans. It is incumbent upon us to take charge of our clients' expectations, concerns, and satisfaction. There have been a number of very intelligent, revealing studies regarding these issues and just how they pertain to you, me, and most importantly, our clients. A recent study reveals the following. When asked, how interested would you be in purchasing financial products that would protect you against each of the following risks? In order of expectation, market performance risk, healthcare risk, inflation risk, longevity risk, and interest rate risk. When considering the variables that are of major concern to retirees and pre-retirees, yet another study shows that this demographic group's #1 concern is having enough money to last. When we blend these two important studies and ask the same audience the more personal, honest, perhaps more difficult questions, it reveals that you and I have much, much more to do. Studies and reports are so important as they help us with our business decisions. But to truly assist our clients, it is imperative that we consider each individual's personal expectations, concerns, and level of satisfaction. The only way to retrieve this critical information is simply ask them. To ask each client the questions important to them, not the industry-generated questions that provides us with generic responses. I want to ask the questions that will reveal to us the honest issues that are most important, most personal to each individual client. Only then can we begin to truly assist our clients, our friends, with very satisfying retirement and better than pre-retirement. I've asked some of my friends to join me in a conversation to demonstrate two things. #1, the industry studies, as important as they are, can never ask the questions that you and I can. And #2, the manner in which we ask questions is tantamount to helping our clients, our friends. The relationship between a financial advisor and the person with whom he or she works takes on a very critical element. It becomes more than just a business relationship. I think it's incumbent upon the advisor as well as the clients to get to know each other and to become friends.
And we did.
And we did. We were fortunate. You know, talking to my friends about it, I think that's pretty rare.
Yes.
I have friends who still second guess their advisors, who still express doubts in some cases. I think there are two forms of trust in a financial advisor. And I might wax philosophically here for a minute, but
Sure.
there are two kinds of trust. One trust is you got to trust them from the standpoint of being absolutely convinced that they're honest and they have your best interests at heart. That doesn't come easily. In some cases, I know of people who have never realized that. The second part of trust is you got to have enough confidence in the skill and intelligence of your advisor to be willing to say, gee, I trust you with everything I've got, which is my financial savings and my future. And that takes a lot of trust. But without either of those two elements, you don't have what you need to relax and enjoy retirement. You got to have it.
You know, my industry, the financial services industry, they have taken various polls and studies and reports, all of which are very important. But among what they list as being the chief concerns with retirement persons are market volatility and risk, interest rate risk, healthcare concerns, longevity risks. How do those factor into your retirement? Do you think about them often? Are they major concerns, or how do you feel about items like that?
They're not concerns at all, mostly. Not even minor concerns, except fleetingly, once in a while. My thought would be that the smart way to proceed is to find someone to worry for you about those things. It takes a lot of trust to do that. That doesn't come quickly or easily. But if you're lucky enough, you'll find somebody, as I have, who can handle those things for you, who does the worrying for you, in whom you have complete trust and confidence, and then you just let it go. Let it go and concentrate on enjoying retirement, and it's a wonderful place to be.
If you were advising a brand new person who was coming into the financial services business, what would you tell that young man or young woman, or maybe even some of the more experienced persons who wanted to better serve their individual clients? What advice would you give to them?
I get that one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. They have to listen. And you do that. They have to listen. Period.
I would tell them you got to work at making sure you don't come across as a salesman. You don't want to be a salesman. You know, we don't trust salesmen. What you want to be is a confidant. What you want to be is a friend. And if you can't attain that most of the time with most people, I think probably you ought to consider going into another business.
Elmer, you retired at what age?
55.
55. So relative to a lot of your friends and family, it's a pretty young retiree.
Pretty young retirement age.
So now that you've been retired for a couple of years, is it everything you expected? Is it more? Is it less?
It's everything I expected, because I really didn't expect too much. After the first year or two, you know, and the novelty wears off, it's just back to the real world. So it's, you know, you have to find something that you enjoy doing to spend that time, you know, and most of the time it's not just using the click on the TV.
Right.
So, you know, just find different things, do a little traveling,
Yeah.
do a little, you know, volunteer work or whatever, you know, just make the days go by fast anyway.
If you had to provide advice to a person in the financial services business, what might you tell that person?
I would think that person would need a lot of imagination, because most people look through life through their eyes, their experiences, and when you're talking to somebody else that's completely different world than you are, then you have to use your imagination and kind of put yourself in their shoes to see where they're coming from. Then maybe you could be more of an advantage to them than just sitting down dictating, well, you should do this, you should do that, you know. You have to really put yourself in their place, and I think you can communicate a lot better with them. You might have grown up, you know, in a mansion, and you're talking to somebody that maybe, you know, middle-class home, you know. You might not have any idea of their daily life, the struggles, the fears, or whatever they have compared to yours. So you have to step out your body and put yourself in their place. I think you'll be a lot more help to them that way, with what you know, and helping them from coming from their point of view, you know, to reach a beautiful bottom line.
Yeah. You are a very hard-working person.
I stay busy, to say the least, day and night.
As is your husband.
He is.
He works very hard as well.
He is. We actually met in a business environment, which I think I've shared with you.
Yes, right. And all the children have, they're out of the house, almost.
They are. They're out of the house, not off the payroll.
Mm-hmm.
So
Does that ever really happen?
I don't know.
Because it hasn't.
Has it happened for you?
No. I hope it's about to happen.
Well, the youngest is still in college, so she's got a few more years.
So in addition to your children, Carl's children, your mom, Carl's parents, you're kind of right in the middle and have varying degrees of responsibility with everybody.
We do. We do. We have 2 grandchildren, and yet we have nieces and nephews that are our grandchildren's age. So
Sure.
we've got a multi-generational family, to say the least.
You and I have had some discussions about what you anticipate a retirement would look like. What would you like to be doing in retirement?
Well, I'd like to have the financial freedom, I suppose, to have fun, be fit, and pursue some passions that I haven't had time for. I have several books that I'd like to write, but I'd like to be able to pursue those passions without the pressure of having to produce, having there to be some financial gain or income associated with the passions that I want to enjoy. I want them to be for fun and for fulfillment. You know, there's a whole personal growth challenge and that I'd like to pursue when I retire.
Your business, not too dissimilar to my business, you're engaged in commercial real estate sales and leasing, and as such you have a very large client base, people with whom you have to do business with and speak to on a daily basis. Let me turn the tables just for a moment. If you had to advise someone in my business of how they could best meet the needs of their clients, what might you tell that person?
I would say put yourself in the other person's position, which is what I always try to do. Think about what's important to them. Relate to them. Have some commonalities that you're able to discover as you're learning about them. I think that makes the difference. I think the human dynamic, you can always, assemble information and relay information back and forth. I think it's the human connection that makes salespeople successful and stand out from the rest.
Let me ask a rather pensive question. You've done a wonderful job of putting your portfolios together, and those portfolios are going to continue to grow. And in all probability, it will afford you the lifestyle that you'd like now so. And as you retire. What about your legacy? What would you like your legacy to sound like?
Have you ever thought about it?
Not really, no.
Nobody has ever asked me that question, which is interesting in itself, I guess. We have 3 children. We made a conscious decision that we would pay for their education, and we have saved, and we are in a position now to do that, okay? I don't want to say beyond that, we're going to spend their inheritance. That's not my deal. But I also don't, as much as I would want to leave something to my children, more on the sake of, subjective family things as opposed to money things, I think. You haven't asked me this question, but I have some charitable inclination too. I have some things that I would like to do. I'd like to do some of that before I'm a legacy. Mm-hmm. But nobody's ever asked me that question, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't have a huge desire to leave a ton of money to my kids. I want to provide for them today. I want to do some things for them, as they need the money, and let them get sort of set for themselves.
Yeah, I think our goal with our children is that we want to be in a position to help them early on as they start their college